Good evening, and welcome to the July 17th, 2024 Planning Board and Architectural Review Board meeting of the town of Ossining. Start with you, please state your name for the record.
Christy Adana, Material Valley National Planning Board.
Kim Jacobs, alternate member of the planning board. Sandy Anelli, secretary of the planning board. Don Shar, planning board member.
Jim Seamus, planning board member. Lisa Venture, planning board member. Manny Lucas, planning board member.
Carolyn Stevens, planning board chair. Good evening, everyone. Okay, someone's going well. The first item on our agenda is 83 Morningside Drive.
Good evening. Mark Henning with Demasi Architects. Here for 83 Morningside Drive. We're looking to do an addition to an existing house. We're here tonight because the addition size triggered increase of the existing house. We're here to present the addition to it. We're looking to do an addition off to the right side from the front side elevation, street side. It's keeping to the existing structure and look of the house with keeping a one-story level. The roof is going to be in similar pitches and gable ends style to the existing house. The windows that will be matching around the house will be mostly double hungs. On the front side will be picture and a couple casement windows, but those will have the mullions that are inside the actual windows itself to have that double hung look, so to match the rest of the existing house and match everything together. And then we are going to rewrap the whole house in the siding, so it will all be consistent with black party plank.
This is going to be the color. It's going to be the color of the siding. The trim is going to be white. Windows will be white, and the asphalt roof will match the existing conditions that are there. And pretty much that's pretty much it.
Any questions or comments?
We have color pictures of the house. Those should have been seen. Yeah, you don't have them. Yeah, I do have. Look from. There's a whole bunch of existing houses in the neighborhood, and when they don't white labor. Yes, White House is the house. So the zoning table was always. No, that we missed because we thought the engineer took care of that. So we're resubmitting it with the set of our drawings. It has it tables in the front. So all the setbacks. Yeah, we double checked that way ahead of time. It's the reason why we came up with this design is to make sure it was in the setbacks and stuff. So it's pushed back in the original part of this. And we have extra time.
And so you will.
That's part of the building.
And yeah.
I just had a few comments dealing with just a couple of things that I raised dealing with like the bay window light and some specifications on the new pollinator meadow, like a little bit detail on that as part of their drawing. But other than that, that was it.
So the question about the bay window is not sure what the question is.
Right, so you had, well, so we noted that the bay window proposed has a metal, the existing bay window on the opposite end did not have a roof at all, and we were just bringing that up.
So that's an existing condition that's covered by the roof. So change it.
And the one on the back, it looks dramatically different.
So, of course, yeah. So the picture of the existing is covered by the existing roof, so we can't really cover it with anything else. And so we're making an access. See, the main window is covered by existing roof. There is no bay window roof on it. Okay. Is there another comment
The pollinator meadow.
that we're looking to, we need to change?
I think Matt sent a response to you that it was from it's a northeastern native species.
But yeah, I haven't been away, so I haven't seen any.
Yeah, I believe he sent it to you. Yes, I saw it.
We position the addition so
And exterior lighting, that. Okay,
the drawings were updated to show the lighting. We're reusing the existing lights that's there and matching with another light. Addition for 500.
do we have any more questions?
Yeah, this, what's the screening, right, where that's going into your, is there screening between the neighbors already existing? Yes.
It's not going to.
So Jason. That's my name. It's
Oh.
on.
Okay.
Hopefully they showed you the plan.
Yeah. It's like, it's really out of the box.
Great.
And then he's putting his customers.
I think you can just do that.
Yeah, and then it's gonna put up a couple American forms and a couple other things like that, be okay, and if it's not, I'll just go. But they did a very good job. For sure.
Yeah, the advertisements.
So, I have a motion.
Make a motion of the public hearing for 83 Side Drive, second.
You're opening for the public hearing? Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. I was thinking, I thought you meant how you vote on the application.
No.
I'm sorry.
Public hearing.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you. Okay. Is there anyone here from the public? Is there? Margaret, is there anybody raising their hand on this?
No, no one raising their hand from the public.
Is there anyone here in the audience? Okay. I have a motion to close the public hearing.
If you want to vote on, so we need to authorize, right, resolution.
Yeah,
Is there any additional information that you think that you need from the applicant? They were saying they would submit the zoning table as part of the building department, as part of the building permit application. So I would say if there's anything else you think you'll need, then leave it open, but in the interim, you can certainly authorize the preparation of the resolution for your office.
Assuming I know you can close it at the same time.
Certainly.
So we'll do that.
Okay.
Can I just say one thing, this color, have you seen this like in a large scale, like this, the color? Have you seen?
Only on that website.
Because it looks really bright. I'm just from, my other hat as an artist, it looks like when it's gonna get really good to the thing. So you haven't seen that.
And I like held it across the house to get some sense.
Right. Okay. How about you, Bo?
I think it's a little bit, yeah.
You dealt with it?
I have not.
Okay.
It should be toned down a little bit, but we can play around with it.
Yeah, you can calm down.
Yeah, we'll play.
Maybe just get a bigger,
And the swatch on the wall, we'll take a look.
right, before you do it. If you love it, then that's good, but it's like, in my eye.
We could change that on one.
So I think we need to, there's a number of items out, so I think it'd be good to keep public hearing open.
Yeah.
Ask the applicant to resubmit everything, and then I can put the resolution with the new drawings.
That delays.
It's gonna do this.
It doesn't, because the board can still come back. You're gonna have to come back next month for a resolution anyway. So it's just a matter of whether they, the board will authorize the preparation, subject to you providing the information.
So everything we provided, the light, the address, the bay window, the color is objective, we can change that as we see fit, because if he likes that color, we can go with that color. So whatever.
Well, typically refer to a color. So that's up to the board if you're okay with whatever color they show.
If the color that we see is L green, this is the color that we saw that.
So we'd like to go with that.
So that's why I'll use the whatever was submitted. I'll confirm the resolution.
Some tables on it. See.
Okay.
Yeah.
They have to come back. And say those.
And
I think we voted on this.
If this allows us to go for the building.
Generally, it isn't the planning board's practice or the ARB in this practice is to have a resolution. There's nothing to preclude you from voting.
I don't want to set a bad precedent, but in this case, we're really not asking for anything between now and then. That's the only reason I'm asking.
So if that's it, if the majority of the board feels that way, then I would recommend framing a motion along the lines of approving the application subject to the discussion had this evening, subject to your planner preparing a resolution referencing the plans and ensuring that there is a zoning table that shows that the project is open. If the board is okay with that.
As you stated.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Great, thank you. And I would suggest like a big can of that paint on your current house before you make the decision to go with it.
Yeah.
Not a color I would go with. I'm not gonna preclude you from doing it.
Slightly gray out.
I think it's going down.
Great, yeah, probably. Right.
Just not pink.
What number?
I've done some big towns. Maybe purple, it comes out nice.
That color just needs to be, yeah, less.
Okay.
Thank you.
Right.
Sample back, do you want the pictures?
No.
It's called.
Sandy, do you want the copies that we have?
Yes, I can put them in the file, yes.
This has the updated zoning table, it has the.
Okay, oh, great.
There should be 3 copies.
You want 4? Oh,
You got 4, you want 4, I can get you 4. I've never left me.
You send it.
read them?
And the new drawings which has the 35 lights and other stuff.
It does.
Yes.
Yes. The black and white has a zoning table and the like. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Here, you want to take a look?
And baby.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
The next item is North State Development, 549 North State Road. Thank you.
If we none this year, we proceed. President, applied the return of the new tenant that's between 539 North State Road. The agenda here. The The site was approved in 1996 and built. The one larger building with 57 square feet, 5 tenants, and the 37 square feet being with the gym before we've been into for a while. So we're proposing to some tenants here. It will be restaurant bar. It's a large kitchen, it's a bar, it has a seating area with the renovating the bathroom facilities and just the work that we're going into. There's no exchange, any changes in the material. Look at the site plan. Sorry, is that bathroom? Is that only? Yeah. The one item here was an area in the back for the service area, and we are proposing to put a walking back. It's going to be actually additional. No, it's for
Said,
walking back.
oh, walking.
When we do the parking calculations, we are exceeding the current calculation for parking. It used to be 51, we are to 59. So we are proposing things that because when the restaurant, the peak hours of the restaurant, the evening and some breakfast hour, the other stores. We did, create a chart with the review, but with showing all the times, all the close and open, and the peak hours is the green where you see the stores that are open, and that's the peak hours of the restaurant. So it's simply we asked for a 9 reduction of 9 parking spaces.
That based on the field counts, something.
This is based on the. No, this is not profit, this is the hours are open. So what you see here is that when the restaurant is open like on Sundays and where everything else is closed. And after 6 o'clock.
Okay, I mean, obviously, I don't do it, but my question is,
It's not based on the number of parking spaces, it's profits that is based on the hour. This chart shows the hours that are open.
so do the hours open necessarily correspond with the peak demand in the middle of the hours, early on, does it account for when the parking actually occurs? That's, I mean,
Right,
look at
so, right, so what we are saying is that the peak hour, which is the evening, well, in the morning, the other stores are closed.
Sorry, so the hours of operation is breakfast is
To,
food, dinner.
yes,
but I was
Yeah,
actually,
fine.
our planner made a very good point. I'm curious what the if it wasn't the application, what the hours are for this business.
they wanted to, because
They want to open, but
open in the morning, like 8 o'clock, then close.
exactly, open at 8, so people start coming to the site at workers 5, 6, 7 o'clock.
Yes.
When the restaurant closes at
10.
10, and the workers are there till 11 and 12. Okay, so, and what were the previous hours of the gym?
I can,
Yeah, I'd like to know that was.
Was it gym?
But I'm not talking about peak as much as, right, this is an interesting area for town with commercial, and then your residential neighborhoods. When we dealt with the other ones, we had
Residential, right?
exactly, and that's why if we're not just changing, we're spreading out let's say the same number of people visiting the site, but a lot more of them are coming at night for dinner, that's an impact. So I just want to understand better what this change is.
Well, so there's a section in the code that they're looking for prime spaces, which specifically says, when any lot contains two or more uses having different parking requirements, the parking requirements for each use shall apply to the extent of that use. Where it can be conclusively demonstrated that one or more such uses will be generated demand for parking spaces primarily during periods when the other use or uses are not in operation, planning board may reduce the total space required for that use. So that's what they're
Well, and then you'll submit that with your next submission.
Yeah, but the building, aside from that section, the parking requirements are actually additive. So the parking requirements for retail space and restaurants. Added, and that's the right space. You know, each, but now it's up to us to decide. The 59 slots that, said is needed, in this, is that based on so many uses? Based on so many uses, but that's just on restaurant. Yeah, how about the retail? Was that, the 59 covers the whole parking? Yes. So, in fact, oh, yes, sorry.
So,
The,
the site reply, right, it's one site, right, it's one person. So it's 59 are needed for the- whatever the old uses are.
Well,
Right.
59 is, no.
He's just saying they need 59 for this use.
no, I'm saying 59 is. Is 28 parking, 26 parking spaces for 78 seats.
How many do you need for those 70?
20. It's only 60 square feet for the size of the dining room. Or sometimes they calculate this one parking spot for every store.
It's just able to do it in 3 seats.
The broader issue is that the applicant did not provide any of the
Yeah.
stuff that you're raising, so which needs to be submitted to the board, because that's what they need.
Or review or traffic engineer.
So, I mean, I figured, it was. I mean,
Start with you.
right, I'll take a look and see, like, there's still additional information.
Only because we've also run into parking issues in the city.
Right, well-
Overflow and.
So that, and that's the place directly across from.
I'm not trying to say, even identify, I just,
No, but I'm
is an
saying
issue in
they
the
have
area.
people that go there
Yes.
on their own, decide that they're going to park in that spot, so.
And how many accessible parking spots?
In 51, we would have 2 parking spaces.
And, right now, for some retail businesses, they did go out and look at that, I can't remember. What are their hours for operation?
Just,
But that can change, right?
I understand that, but I'm
Yeah.
just,
Right.
I believe that the rule that is open the latest will be PCP.
Which one's that?
Nights.
Oh, so it needs to be.
Yeah, the regular place was the 12 and 4 p.m. Depends. And then the other stores they usually close by 6 p.m. There's one of them that opens at this time.
So the lighting. Obviously, we'll have a while, have to get at least the business hours. What's
I
the,
think this will be currently streamlined in the system and then the price to change any of the light.
light, is this site like 24/7, are they on sensors, is it online, but business hours? Great, thank you.
So I guess there is gonna be, will they be putting, like, the neighbors are not changing the exterior, but are you putting signs or anything in front of the restaurant or lights?
We are hoping to come back to the area to with the sign, with the sign, which sign it is. They haven't with the sign.
The location, the sign that should be on site.
I think the sign, I think there used to be a sign in the building. I'm not sure if it would be in the same location.
Probably do that concurrently
Okay,
in terms of ARB review and.
well, makes sense. Just didn't require that to be a good issues.
I know, we just raised the issue with the signs, so, you know, but but no signs, back to them.
Yeah.
So comment for the actual design is, the building department, is,
For the interior,
for comments on sizes.
yeah, that's,
Just, it's the ADA, ADA requirements for the bathrooms. Not, you know, satisfied as far as the living system, those choices. We will, sorry.
Because there were bathrooms now, you're not putting them in the same place as other ones. So I do have a question. So the walk-in, that's a separate issue then. Is that an ARB issue that like the changing the entrance to the walk-in? And is that?
So, I mean, it's site plans, so it's really welcome to raise that.
Yeah, because what I'm concerned with, I haven't gone, seen that, but I think there's a house that's on the state that's right next to that. So, we had, on North State Road, for many years, a problem when there was a dance studio at the other gym, it's also seems to be empty. It's tremendously bothersome to adjacent neighbors there. The issues of more by where you live. So I'm wondering if there's gonna be, walk-ins just for the staff, just,
Yeah, it's just to.
so I'm wondering if we need some screening for that. So what my worry is that particular spot has changed over so many times, so if we gave approval for this and then somebody else comes in and. You know, that would be.
This is bring you pictures because the walk-in will be tucked in against the retaining wall.
Okay.
So you won't see.
So you won't, okay. That was my concern. So my other concern is now that it's going from the gym to the restaurant, you're gonna have to have those big exhaust fans for a restaurant.
Yeah.
And the exhaust fan that's on the other building, the one that we're not talking about. Yeah, but it's the, that's, there has been times that I live, not right behind that, but sort of adjacent, the fan is, can be really obnoxious. So I'm wondering what the impact of the, of these fans are gonna be, right?
So.
They actually did fix it, so I'm very happy to report that.
Was that any, like, was that
You would know that.
a notice or?
Well, it was a noise of a very old and beat up, exhaust unit, so it's, for them.
Presumably be new,
But,
one new system.
right, but it will,
I understand.
it will impact people that are right behind it, so I don't know where that's gonna be located on there, that's one of my concerns. So I do have another concern, and that's, this is a property that I've had problems with because they illegally cut trees down. So for those who don't know, I went and stood between the guy with the chainsaw and the tree to keep them from cutting it down. And while I was mowing the house, and then, the building department issued them a citation. And then, they came 2 weeks later and then I wasn't around, nobody else seemed to care, and they finished the job after they had gotten to they cut it down. And then to make it worse, is they planted the same trees, the exact same trees, which are gonna get that same size, except they're too big for the size. They planted the same trees, which are gonna get the same size, and I was told at the time there was nothing I could do with the site plan until somebody comes back, so I was wondering, if we get language on the site plan that says, should there ever be a time that the trees need to be replaced, that they could follow our, whatever the guidance is at the time, rather than putting in place of project repairs back. And the burst station, so I would like that to be on there.
Probably one of the properties.
Probably right before COVID, right? Because about 5. Yeah, and now what they also get to trim them into walls and do everything wrong, so it'd be better if they could get something that's, appropriate to the space that they yeah.
But you noted, you said the exterior is not changing. The windows on North Sea Road, are those going to be glazed, will they be left as is?
Plan was to.
It's very large windows, yeah.
No, I'm just wondering
But I mean,
about,
it's not very, it's not relative to the setting of the restaurant, so.
that's their, just right, that's a business decision, I just meant the like. That's
Yeah.
There's.
Yeah.
They would be in there. It's just like.
So and also, because of the issue and the fact that they went put the trees down there, like that, or not to. I am concerned that we're stating that the exterior is staying exactly as it is, and that's great, but I would like some in the file, some documentation of what it actually looks like now. So if there ever was a change, we have something to compare.
So you can just ask them.
Right.
Say photos, the access photos.
Yeah,
To make that.
so,
We can include pictures like that.
Yeah, we can have
Current
some
site.
a submission, if
Yeah.
you can include existing
but,
site.
but
photos, that would be
the
great.
actual facade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. That'd be great.
It's just to be clear, you're talking about the neighbor will be behind the building thing.
So that's one of the neighbors, there's residential.
Yeah, the neighbor was had issues with the noise in the building.
Yes. Oh, that was good.
I know you.
Yeah, behind, yeah. There is a neighbor right next to it also, where that walking, but, so. But those pictures don't, I would like a full on, like when you're looking at the building on each side.
So, swing, I have a question, your client probably doesn't know, but I'm hopeful their business years now is success, and that they will not have them, but have they thought of a plan for the spots elsewhere, right? Because this has happened to a successful business in West Bay Road, where they have these additional spots on a different site so that they can park their vehicles. Have they thought about that yet, or not? Okay, I can go through.
I don't think the planning does not require it. So that's, I mean, I don't know if they need, they did it privately, but.
I was just curious if they have sort of.
Part of the problem is right now. That business parks in this parking lot.
Yes,
So that's. going to be
we are
a
aware of
problem.
that, yes.
That would be a problem for both.
It is going to be a problem.
So then, I guess it would be enforced in time for, you know.
Yeah. All right, so we have our comments.
Just ask for some power.
Well, there's only one, EDA accessible part.
Right, that's in,
So maybe things looking at your site, but there's only one. Perhaps they need the. I imagine that might be one,
Then mention that,
but yeah. but that's-
but we know it.
yes. Actually, the yes, right. One here, and the other is here. Assembly.
That's right.
Yeah.
So this should be, not.
So it's just a technical question, like, when they're saying that their hours are 8 to 10. Yeah. They change the hours and stuff.
Well, I think if they're requesting that confined space, that's not enough.
Okay.
No, I think if that's part of the basis for whatever site plan determination the board decides to make, especially as it relates to parking, lighting, and whatnot, then it would certainly be noted.
And then what about future possibility of outdoor? Is that would they have to come back?
Outdoor dining as of right is done. That's expired by its terms.
Okay.
So anyone, it's not like when we were dealing with COVID and we were trying to keep businesses going. So now if anyone wants to outdoor dining, that would certainly require.
And then any speakers outside with music and all that's not.
Or they would have to comply with the noise code. Whatever the noise chapter code. If the board is concerned about that, given that they're abutting a residential neighborhood, that's certainly something that if you wanted to put in a resolution, I think you could. But if they're not proposing any outdoor dining, I don't really see why there would be any.
There is one restaurant on this.
Even though they don't have outdoor dining. Okay, well then, yeah, that's to be considered.
But I don't think they're really close to us, so it's just when we're walking, that's.
Maybe they're trying to entice people.
Right,
You know,
that might be, that might be.
or that if you're gonna have music, it can only be toward North State Road or something.
Yeah, but I would. prefer not.
Great.
So the theme is just keep in mind that you're adjacent to a residential neighborhood, not all commercial. So if you're leaving on the exterior, just be mindful when you come back. That's it.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Next, I'm going to email owner at
So I, the applicant had, work tonight. I think if I was eager to participate, I give a little background, application. She's going to put the town board on it. And then also I would suggest in terms of reviewing this, I suggest we take a look at it from teacher, the referral for himself, the text amendment, and then we look at the site plan. To easily get like mixed, there's two very different things that you're.
I think Valerie pretty much covered it. Yeah, this is obvious, as everyone knows, this is the former GE site, it's been purchased by Owner LLC. They came to the town board, and appeared at a work session back in early May, proposing certain zone text amendments into the B zoning district's business education, which this property is zoned for, and this is the property that has that zoning designation. So it is unique to this property. And so the town board heard from them in May, and then in June, or late May, a formal zoning petition was submitted. And the town board declared their intent to be lead agency for secret purposes. At the time, there was no site plan application pending. And also the understanding from the town board was that the site plan application was not going to involve any physical modifications, any expansion or any additional structures. So given the zoning that was being contemplated, the town board thought that in this unique situation, it would be appropriate for them to serve as lead agency. However, they certainly rely upon this board's expertise and input, and so the referral was made to the planning board regarding the zone text amendments. And as well as your feedback as an involved agency for SECRA. So as Valerie mentioned, the three issues that are really before you this evening are the SECRA environmental review on both the zoning and the site plan, and then the zoning text amendments themselves and the site plan applications. This board cannot take any action on site plan until SECRA is completed and the town board has taken action on the zoning. However, prior to that happening, I think the town board was looking for this board's feedback on those issues so that they can take that into consideration in deciding how to proceed. What I can say is that I don't think there's any anticipation of the town board taking any action on this at their meeting next Tuesday on the 23rd. But I think the continuation of the public hearing as it's before the town board will be continuing on the 23rd. So any feedback that you can provide at that time, whether it's in a memo or, you know, if Valerie and I just kind of compile the comments that you have this evening, I think would be very helpful in guiding how this project moves forward. If there are any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Valerie, thank you for that. We're opening, setting the stage. So good evening, everyone. Brad Schwartz, the law firm of Sarah Steinmetz, the applicant for the owner LLC. I'm joined tonight by Kevin Bell, advocate, the owner, as well as Monica also, John Cannon, the project's traffic planning. So I certainly have it here. I'm not going to repeat everything that Christie just went through. I do want to emphasize a couple of points. This is a conventional site plan application insofar as our client is not suited to build anything. There's no new construction proposed. We are simply here as a planning board to approve which new uses that would occur in the existing 12 buildings on the property. So it's all adapted for use of these existing 12 buildings. The bodies will walk you through the plans in the moment. Respect to the zoning petition, as was mentioned, it's right before you go to referral, we have the zoning petition as part of our presentation at the end, so we're going to do it. We'll walk you through the new uses that are proposed. I just want to plant the scene after consistent in our group with the historical operations on this property. This has always been a business training facility, which business training state where we recreate, and we're proposing shopping center, hotel, restaurant, potentially some living, and to make it more accessory uses. So uses that are very consistent with what's going on in the property. Decades of working for that. So unless any questions, I'll start the body to walk through the plans. John will also address part of that.
If you're not staying up, but I pulled up. Share my screen.
Do you mind just sitting in the front row?
On slides.
4 or 5 slides.
So.
Would be right on the left side.
All right.
Okay. My name is Bonnie Mollison. I'm a landscape architect and planner with on this. And here, the first slide is just giving you an orientation to the site. As you can see, the campus buildings in the center of the slide. The property line is outlined in red. Yeah, it's 62 acres total. Large road. 9A is down here on the south side, and Ola Road. Hillcrest, and they put on the west, you can see, and Valley Road, which approaches the site, but it's gated here, and the main entrance here is also gated, but there's a security. But that's the primary access to the site. As you can see, the surroundings on most of the east side is very looked as residential. This is a sort of an aerial view. You can see the Indian Brook Reservoir off to the north. And these are the primary buildings with the labels on them. As I said, the site is 62 acres. It was built originally in 1956 with a substantial upgrade about 15 years ago and renovation to the rest of the buildings. That was purchased by the applicant just this spring. So the largest buildings are you can see in the middle and village, the learning lab, and the leadership exchange. And there's a wooden buffer surrounding the entire property on all of the edges. There's grassed areas and some recreation facilities, including a series of trails on the site. And actually, the last site plan amendment occurred in 2013 was to document those trails on the site. So, the 12 existing buildings, as I mentioned, recreation, open space, service parking, and all the buildings for the campus have been utilized, as you said. This is the education zone. It's the only property to yeah, a little hard to read here. This is the material that was submitted to you, which goes through all of the buildings that are on the site, their size, in other words, the name of the building, the floor area, existing use, and Basically, the same use with different names, you know, it's my hotel, the project. There are two buildings which contain guest rooms, function as hotels, and that is the village, which has 60 rooms, and Brooklyn Mall, which has 50. You go through anything, so you have questions about them. But this again, we consider that these areas without questions, but the table that you just saw is the table right here, which lists the buildings, all to the map, the site plan, their sizes, and existing uses. And then,
Just to drop a second, so that's again, what we're seeking a site work for, is that essentially that chart, in the right corner of the proposed use, it's that last column. However, in response to the comments, we decided to add two more columns, accessory uses. One column would identify the existing accessory, another column to what is accessory. So it's on the chart now with the principal uses, we're going to respond to our response by adding two more columns to address the that ultimately gets.
so again, we get to the questions, you have questions, I would do that. Areas. For campus, satisfying the local terms of the town. Southern and southern. We also have detailed red lines of the zoning, the registry was proposed to be modified, and not to page by page. So in the meantime, John. Yes.
I will come back and zoning amendment at the end, John, discuss.
And then just let me know where the table was that says your specific.
Great question. Certainly on the site plan, you have to write one, and it should have been enclosed separately.
Yeah, on the narrative, it's called. Frequent look test. I
remember wearing that booklet.
Oh, it's not.
That's a trap, this trap.
It's just like, this is
And so.
It was attached to the zoning decision.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Thank you. Sorry. I didn't, I thought you one was in this paper.
Oh, maybe I didn't.
Yes.
We signed all of the.
Right.
No, I'm not saying.
Yeah, I mean,
I opted out, I mean, I might opt in for certain projects that are bigger.
we could do that.
Would be helpful.
Just let me know.
This one.
It's no problem.
Yeah, that's what I would. It's not.
Ready? So, good evening, John County, traffic engineer. Not to beat a dead horse to death, but the application, site plan application is for conversion of a 248 room training center to a 248 room hotel and conference center. And then zoning is a request to make that under your code, but also to allow potentially at some point in the future to expand the number of rooms from 248 to 300. Or at some point in the future, just preserving, trying to have some flexibility. If hotels go somewhere else, convert some of the rooms or maybe all of the rooms to some form of senior living. And the thought in senior living is no children, no traffic, no problems. But that's what the zoning request is. I prepared a traffic and parking study. And I could have prepared two traffic and parking studies, one for the conversion of the existing facility to a 248 room hotel conference center, and one for a 300 room hotel conference center. But they're kind of the same thing. There's only
52 rooms in the difference. So I prepared a traffic and parking study for a 300 room hotel and conference center, the worst case scenario. It's a worst case scenario. So if you feel comfortable with the 300 rooms hotel conference center, you should feel comfortable for the site plan application for 248 rooms. So that's a lot of introductory talk. We looked at the key intersections from the driveway out Shady Farm Lane Road to Old Albany Post Road and then all the way out to Route 9. We conducted traffic counts on Tuesday, May 30th of this year, when school was in session, as well as Saturday, June 1st. We noted in the traffic study that there were over 2,000 vehicles that passed through the intersection of Route 9 with Old Albany Post Road in the busiest hours. So that's a busy intersection. And there were 350 vehicles, so a lot less passed through the intersection with Old Albany Post Road with Shady Farm Lane in the same peak hour. So that was over 2,000 out on Route 9 and slightly less than 350 at Old Albany Post Road and Shady Lane. And as you know, if you're arriving at the conference center from the south, you come on 9A, you take the exit, you just go right in, you don't bother anything. It's a bit of a different story on the way out. And hopefully your Google is working and gets you out and around and back down, but it's really not too difficult. To evaluate future traffic operating conditions, we grew the existing volumes to account for background increases that are not associated with any specific developments. Just traffic volumes generally go up. Sometimes they go down from the recessions. Hopefully we're not going there soon. We also added traffic volumes for one vicinity development that we were aware of in the area. It's the proposed specialty hospital up on Quaker Ridge Road. It's not in town, but you're probably aware of it. And so on top of that, we added the incremental increase in traffic that will be generated by using this facility as a public-facing hotel and conference center. It's going to generate more traffic than when it was a training center, because it's a training center. You came in mostly on a Monday and you stayed for most of the week. You might have escaped if you were lucky overnight and come back in. Then you left on Friday. So we accounted for the incremental increase. Then we compared the projected traffic volumes at each of the study intersections to the intersection capacities, which is based on the number of lanes, your traffic control, whether it's a signal or a stop sign, how much screen time you get. And we looked at the future conditions with and without the conference center at 300 rooms. The study indicated that all of the study intersections will have adequate capacity to accommodate project traffic, and that all of the intersections will operate at an overall level of service C or better in peak hours. So A is the best, F is the worst, C really is not bad for peak commuter hours. We also provided a section in the traffic study which compared the amount of traffic that would be generated by various types of senior living. And there are a number of types. You can have independent living where you don't really need assistance. You could have assisted living where you obviously do need assistance. There are also a couple of types of living called congregate care retirement community. So you kind of go from one to the other. And the other one is no, that may be independent living, right? And the last one is CCRC, congregate care retirement community. There's one more. Yeah, I'm not sure. It's not nursing. It's not nursing. That I know. And so we provided a table and compared how much traffic those facilities would generate as compared to the conference center. And it basically, for the most part, it's less. Mostly because as we get older, we're less active and so we do less community building. We provided a parking analysis basically along the same lines for a 300-room hotel conference center with a comparison to senior living facilities. And we determined that the facility currently has adequate parking to accommodate all proposed uses. But we did note that we would be providing, or we would need to provide valet parking and a shuttle to the train for larger events. So if you're going to have a 250-person wedding or something like that, you're going to have, it's going to be scheduled in advance. You're going to hire a valet. We have a valet plan where you can park on the campus in the existing parking lots, and you can coordinate with your customer, guest, and those who want to come by train can be picked up. So the bottom line is we've looked at it from a 300-room perspective, which is what the zoning ask is for in the potential future. 248 rooms would be, do my math, maybe 20% less busy than that.
Will the the valet and the shuttle to the train, which makes sense, right? You market demand.
Yep.
Will they be incumbent on somebody having a wedding there or optional?
So it would be incumbent from the perspective that if the applicant doesn't provide it, if the operator doesn't provide it, the customer's not going to be happy and they're never going to get another customer. Right? So it's, you know, it's incumbent upon the operator to make their customer happy and provide valet parking when they're going to have a big event and they know they're going to need.
Another.
Yeah, please.
Sure. So, right, and I don't have a great understanding of this area, there's GE conference center, right?
Yep.
GE people went there.
Yep.
Perhaps they might have even flown to the same airport and taken a bus and not had cars, right?
Yep.
So I don't know what you use to calculate, you know, vehicle trips for, because it's not a traditional public facing conference center. It's
Correct.
Private.
Yep.
So, and then this use becoming a public facing multi-use for the rest of the rest. The change in vehicle trips is not, I understand I understand the intersection change.
Yep.
We'll still operate and see, but what is the delta in actual?
Sure.
Or percentage?
So you are right.
Accepting that, the study, I accept from you that the study area intersections will be fine and all that. I'm curious about.
No, it's definitely more traffic.
Yeah.
So what we did is we put a road tube out when they had a 150 person training event, whatever it is you have, right? This past spring. We documented how much traffic they had. We went back and looked at their records and found that on average they had 300 people in other years. So we basically doubled what we counted, and it was only 35 vehicles in the busiest hour.
Compared to.
What's that now compared to? It's right. We have 177 vehicles in the busiest hour of the week. PM's the busiest hour. So it's, you know, it's a substantial increase. It's a public facing facility, but we've looked at the operating conditions. We've provided a table of with the conference center, with the training center, and it's table 5. It's table 5, and when you look at it, I'll just read down the key intersections. For the AM peak hour, Albany Post Road and Route 9, which is the busiest intersection, it indicates that the overall intersection delay will increase from 20 seconds, which is a level service C, to 24 seconds, which is also a level service C. So it's really not that consequential.
No, I'm more just holistically trying to understand.
Yeah, so I'm not trying to hide the fact that it's going to generate more traffic, but I'm trying to make you comfortable that it's not going to overwhelm you.
How many parking spots do you have in this?
217.
Are they planning to use the helipad?
There is no plan to use the heliport. Can I answer this question? I've heard you answer it. Okay, there's no plan to use the heliport. They would like to preserve it. They're asking that they can preserve it because in the past, it has been useful if there's an emergency and somebody needs to be evacuated from somewhere in the area. Now you have a heliport. Is that, yeah, you're the owner, Brad. Is that a fair answer?
Yeah, I mean, we're not gonna like do Hudson Valley helicopter shot, but it'll remain there as
That has been an issue for me.
Yeah.
So does it affect me, but I know many people that live around there have been impacted by having to helicopters.
So-
And all that stuff, so that is.
So Jack Welch won't be flying in anymore. That we can tell. Right?
It was more than him.
Would hotel guests or wedding guests be allowed to arrive by helicopter?
So I think that's a topic that should be open for conversation, because I do agree that if I lived in the neighborhood, I wouldn't want to see, I could understand seeing a helicopter once a year, or twice a year, but I wouldn't want to see it once a week, so.
So
Yeah.
what I'm sorry.
there is an existing agreement county or town on the use of that heliport, and there's, I think there's requirements that every landing has to be filed, it has to be like noticed and all this, it's not like you can just take off and land.
County would be that.
And the town,
There's FAA
For-
regulations.
for years, the town has had an arrangement with GE and it's discussions with that, after use continues. That monthly reports be submitted to the town about how frequently it's happening.
and so, and providing notice in advance about when it's going to be happening, to make sure that it's not. So that's certainly something that I think we would, with this applicant, but I think just the nature of the use, it's probably not going to be as frequent as it was when it was with GE, but I will say the last few years of GE's operations, it was nominal to not exist.
Yeah, these are a lot of points of curiosity. We're changing a significant parcel of land in the town, just want to understand.
Good questions. Yep.
So Christie, the reports are issued, if it was getting out of hand, was there an instrument to get them to reduce the amount?
It sounds like it really can't, right? But there's so many steps to regulate each given flight. Somebody would probably pick up on, wait, somebody's flying in every, I'm not.
Right, but so if that did happen, would they start flying a lot? Is there-
It would make specific regulations in the zoning,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
and they're still close to it, they're not.
I have a question for Ash. Sure. Great. So I agree there's a consistency of each, right? Educational center, people coming for gatherings still. One was for one company, their executives, employees, kind of self-contained. Now it's public facing. So I do think that there's a difference in the intensity. Even I know that people trips are going up and that. So it's consistent, but it does have other, potential impacts. So I don't know.
That's why we're doing the seeker. No, right, no, but I'm just letting you know, like, that's part of what they need to demonstrate in the seeker,
Yeah.
as part of that issue.
Again, Jason, great question. We acknowledge that. And Valley's right. And so when Valley is to identify where that 1, 2, 3 items before you to seek review, you've got John do the marking and traffic analysis that took that so seriously. But you look at, okay, so what are the sequential impacts associated with the proposal? Where there's no construction. We as a team in consultation with your staff, looking like the parking and traffic as the two key areas of seeking concern.
With the hotel, would the hotel be a franchisee comes in and the ultimate beneficial one? Keeps the property with the. Go ahead. Is someone going to come in and brand a Holiday Inn? Is it going to be a boutique hotel? Is it a hotel that the owner?
Right now, there's no flag on it. It's just operating as a public center. Obviously, we don't know right now. It's my government today. It may just continue as once it tells everybody.
One of my questions is, which is that would you be inviting the general public to come to the hotel as well as?
Yeah.
And so. And
Yeah, right now,
and the restaurant as well.
yeah, I mean, right now, you can't stay here unless you are here for a conference, right?
Right.
So we can't like put a group on Expedia and someone's grandmother's in town, they can't stay here, they can't eat in a restaurant, they can't go to a coffee shop, they
Right.
can't book a room for training. So that would all be allowed. The focus of the zoning is changed so that the general public and the town can use the facilities. As opposed to with the restriction.
And that explains the increased traffic.
And just as a general point, right, the reason it existed the way it did for so long as a training center was it had a corporate sponsor that supported it. Now it has to be self-sufficient.
I'm just trying to
Understand?
Yeah,
understand very clearly what it is that you're hoping to do this.
And it has been for the past few months, it's actually no, since the beginning of June, we haven't had limited trainings to, for, for GE, but for, other profits or other business groups or companies. Trainings, even before we bought it, GE was kind of see the YFD.
So I feel like I think you're changing the assisted living and senior living a little bit, and I guess I'd like some clarification on what your intentions when we go over that, because I see those two things as very, very different.
So we've used senior living as an umbrella term. So this proposed definition for senior living facilities, which includes, John's sort of touched on the age. Retirement home, adult care facility, assisted living, right, from 55 and older. So senior living is the umbrella catch-all for a variety of type of senior living. The senior living would be one such example. So our request of the town is to allow as the use of a senior living facility. Because again, we don't know exactly the product day, I is over. So use that potentially you saw it again, but that's not being sought now, it's just operational, it's just a additional zoning, not a flexibility.
And that would require.
And that was starting, at that point, we would know it's 5 and over, it's the living certainly result in least traffic yield. So again, the senior is definitely growing natural, the different types of senior building.
So what was one of the things that I raised that you have two definitions? The zoning.
So assisted living facility was already in the code, we made one minor tweak to the definition.
Right, but when you actually look at when you actually look at the zoning
Special
statement, you only refer to senior living facilities.
Exactly, right, because a special permit use that would be granted by the CPA for senior living facility, precisely what type of senior living facility would be the subject of that application to the zoning board, site based.
So, right, so I think that's one of the things that the board should look at, because I think having the two definitions there is a little confusing, but I think it should, right, it should be one definition that clearly identifies the option of uses.
So that is senior living facility, and we potentially then strike the definition of assisted living facility. That's again, because
I'm sorry. You're saying something.
Oh, I just wanted to point out, and it came up earlier, as it relates to the number of units, the code provides, in the draft that's been submitted, a maximum of 300 units for any type, whether it's senior living, assisted living, hotel combined. So that's the maximum that the code is proposing, that's what the applicant. And so what, to a certain extent, I understand that there can be more differences in the way the uses operate because it's forward facing because you're inviting the public in. But the reality is that if you're still having conferences there, some of those people are going to be staying in the hotels. If you're having an event there, some of those people are going to be staying in the hotels. So I understand what you guys are saying about the overlap, about all of these different uses, and I completely agree with you. But there will certainly be a certain level of overlap in how these uses operate, because there's really just only so much that can be done on that property to accommodate appropriately the clients that customers that they're going to want to have there.
And I guess one of my questions is, that not making changes. Any of, not adding to any of the buildings or changing the significant way, what the environment.
The way that would be accomplished would just be by moving around and adjusting interior device compliance. So no changes in footprint and that sort of height. Again, if we were to do that, let's say that plan didn't work out and we wanted to change it, then we would come back.
So I think so I guess why don't we, that is confusing in terms of what is for the site. Right, so if you are actually saying you want 300 of hotel, then that should probably be very clearly stated. But then I think that we need to take a look at that. In terms of that also, we're going to take a look at in terms of parking, right? Because now we're not at 248, which is you're going to give people.
The parking, the traffic, that's why it's they get.
Right. No, I understand that, but I think, again, I think there's a speaker piece to it and the zoning petition. and then there's what's actually gonna take place. And I think figuring out, finalizing the uses, then we can go back and take a look at the traffic study, make sure the traffic study actually reflects the uses that are going
I'm just, probably close myself. I haven't looked at the built requirements for the selling district. This is to say that the applicants agreeing to only 300 guest rooms for perpetuity on the site.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
other
this is more subject to any zoning change.
They would have to come back for the zoning commission.
Come back.
For a 62-acre site, you have to agree, it's fairly low.
Yeah, well, and then, and thus my, I guess I want to understand, this number's put in here. But you could come back in 3 years and say, you want to have 200 more, and.
Rezoning, site.
The same, I understand, but I just don't know if this 300 is just to make us feel good now, or like, that's kind of the short and medium term view of this side, where you have to see what the market says.
So now we're gonna operate at 248, which is flexibility.
No, as you should, it's a large site, it's got a lot of growing.
Given that it would require a zone text amendment, the town board would be in their, whether it's this board or whoever the board is in the future, would be in their complete discretion, not even to entertain it. Just say, thanks, have a nice day.
No, and I appreciate that there's a number, we can kind of tie ourselves that this is not. But you said you wanted to do the actual tax. There's just one provision, H7.
Hang on, let me catch up with you.
Yeah.
Good question. Each site, go ahead.
Good question. I just frankly don't understand how that's, I mean, I get
The
it.
deletion or
No, the addition of an aspirational, it's not really something we could, it's not a requirement.
Seven, I have a tier 2, so
I am not H7,
H.
sorry. Looking at the red line.
Oh, special requirements, I apologize.
Yeah, no, I should have gone through it.
7,
Like, I don't
set
even-
practical, the property owner shall endeavor to incorporate any permitted uses to adapt to use without material changes to building.
What is to the extent practical? It means, I don't really, I just don't understand why we're even codifying this. I admire the applicant for wanting to do that, but this, right, this provision, what would they have to show anything? What's the point?
Fair.
No, and there's no disrespect.
No, and actually, it's a fair question. I think it came out of discussion, because we've been discussing this with staff for quite some time. And so I think the spirit of adaptive reuse is something that we want to accomplish. And it goes to the point that we're not looking to put a shovel in the ground and do anything.
And that's, so that's.
So I think it's like, we would almost, I guess, to your point, maybe it doesn't belong in the special requirement. It's gonna be more of maybe into the purpose up front. We could look at that.
Yeah, I think the intent was, as was stated, to try to, you have this beautifully developed property. Let's try to not require any more.
Along that, just.
It may not belong there, it may belong up top. I hear it.
We certainly discussed the kinds of things in this section, but I do think it's significant for potential future owners too, to understand that the town's intent is to try to leave this property as much as it's.
So my question is, I'm a little confused that and I apologize, but we're emptying this to a secret view.
Right, so
But we
I
don't
think-
know
right.
what's really happened.
So I think we should break it down to, the first thing to see tonight is just that the town board wants to be the agency on this project. Right, and so that they've issued notice of intent to be the agency, so technically, if this board really objects to it, town board no. No, but if this board is open to allowing the town board to be the agency, you would still be able to provide input on the secret process. I'm in August, we're sitting down with the town board to kind of review the part 2, which sort of identifies what the small, moderate, or moderate to large impacts that need to be studied on this particular project, especially for the zoning, the proposed zoning changes. And then ultimately will provide the part 3. So during that process, you can weigh in on the secret document provided, and you can provide feedback on that. And the seeker itself for the zoning is going to look at the proposed differences in what they're proposing zoning amendments compared to what's already allowed, under the wetland, which really theoretically is going to be that more or less that particular period. or the gap, that difference between the two eliminated.
Right, so, but, yeah, but thank you for that. But what I'm confused is they're presenting a plan where they're saying it might be this, it might be that.
Right, so I think-
it might be that,
right.
and then I'm not sure how do you approach.
Right, so that's why I was saying, right, so I think the seeker is gonna be really, you should look at the seeker zoning piece. Specific, right,
Which is the worst case scenario.
right,
Okay, so which would the worst case scenario be?
300, well, that's what we're ultimately going to, right, they provided some traffic analysis, we're looking at that to see if we agree that that's the worst case scenario. You know, and ultimately, if it's like, you know, and most likely we could potentially be, you know, the units. You know what I mean? And so we're gonna take a look at what it is that they're providing.
Just get it up.
So in terms of what they're actually proposing, right, the hotel and conference center, I think we look at it in terms of the worst case scenario. The other potential uses, the senior living umbrella that was discussed, that's more generic.
Why does that have to be included?
Yeah, that's like just like.
I think the intention is so that they don't have to keep coming back every time they may want.
About, that's right.
Well,
But they would have to come back to the town board. They would still have to come to this board
Right.
and get a special permit at that.
But I'd like to go on the premise that they're going to be very successful, by they're proposing. Senior living proposal. The city committee says that if you can put included, that's what we're doing.
So I think then, I mean, if this is part of the zoning petition rate review, so if you want to raise those issues with the town board, you can do something. Right, and that's a part of why, like, so we're kind of at the beginning of the process, like, nothing's gonna be finalized tonight. It's to introduce you and then raise certain concerns or questions. And then also, so like, let's just stay on like the zoning. Types of comments. So, right, so if that's a concern from the board in terms of,
That might be the only concern. Everything else in here.
and is it because of the 55, essentially senior living, like senior residential, or is it?
The only thing I would add is it's open-ended, but to a point, because we still can't exceed 300 units. So there's still a cap on the use of senior living just doesn't live up the entire property now to senior living. So the cap on it. And just that, you gotta,
And 300 units in the existing building.
and just again.
Well, no, okay, no, that's not how that's.
Okay,
Well, that's still gonna be 300 feet. It's not, you're not changing, proposing only in existing.
That's zoning, but if we wanted to have a different building, with that.
No, I understand, but
Yeah,
previously
the
you
question-
said, yeah.
that's
you
right.
did.
300 could, yes, some of the units could potentially be that. for two buildings.
Or that's,
So the zoning, I think, just to try to sum this up, the zoning was to provide some flexibility. In terms of we're talking about, so if we don't know what we're doing, with respect to the site plan, there is a definite program that's being proposed. So on the site plan.
let's finish the zoning and then we can do the second talk about.
That's right. So I wanted to show the contrast between zoning flexibility, site plan, 15 minutes.
Under accessory uses and. We have 1 through 14, a lot of them are pretty specific, get that, the things that are associated with conference center, size restaurant. And then 15 is kind of like catch-all. So why do we need all the other ones? The catch-all covers them.
So it's a common, you commonly find it in zoning, and then you specify as many as you can.
And then you just.
But then you have a catch-all, then it's a judgment call by the building department, if they're proposing accessory use. Again, it's not just anything, that's, you know, it's. Still gotta be normally associated. with-
Defensively associated.
Exactly.
I suggested that they provide some definitions of clarification. Because that could really be down, and then you also don't want to have like, for a particular building inspector doesn't feel comfortable making those interpretations. Right, then they'll end up with, yeah, so it might be good just to have examples.
Pressing clarity.
Because I mean, it has conference center, hotel, restaurant, or similar.
You understand?
So the secret that we're looking at is just it was a type one action, but we're also saying that we would agree with the tower thing.
Yeah.
So that's like in a nutshell, that's the essence of what we're doing.
Yes.
If you oppose the town board being the lead agency, that's a determination that has to be made tonight, because the 30 days will be up for your next.
And what would be,
See on the side.
what would be the
And the site plan.
reasoning that we would want them to?
I'm not familiar with the site.
Well, I mean, it's still going to be subject to site plan review by your board.
Right.
So, but because it's type one action, it has to be a coordinated review, so it has to encompass both the zoning and the site.
For secret purposes, but your board still, there's not supposed to be site plan, your board is supposed to be.
Site plan application we have today has no exterior changes, which is what site plan is all about.
Well, that's where we're approaching.
Sorry.
But I just never really looked at it. So the old broken Aqueduct Trail, does that go like right along the edge of the parcel? It does, right? The trails you mentioned that were the subject of like the resolution in 2013, those are private trails on the side. Believe so. Yeah. Right. So I don't get why they need to be site plan listed. Oh.
What I'll also say is that if the only reason why the town board considered it to be lead agency in this situation, I know it goes against the grain of what would be the normal practice for your boards. It's because at the time there was no site plan application pending. And because there are no external changes being proposed to the site under, and so again, this board, you can make whatever decision you want to make, whatever you direct us to advise the town board, we will.
We need a motion.
If you only need a motion if you're going to object to the town board, otherwise you just do nothing, and by next week, 30 days. will be. So, but again, I'm just trying to explain what the town board's rationale is behind that.
We don't even need to vote anything.
No, we're just giving our comments or having a look.
Unless you have, the only thing is the lead agency, on your critical, the town will be the agency.
Acknowledging that for any future development, you will come back to us for site plan. Although the rooms are limited to 300 feet, you have to make an amendment to get to those rooms, right? You could come back as of right, or an additional restaurant use, leave that out on the site, as long as it's zoning, all that. So we have a kind of an understanding of like, this is what the room situation would be for now, and then. I mean, it sounds like you're using a program.
Everyone's okay with the top. Right, so then the next thing is the,
Whatever the applicant.
Just taking the minutes?
the next thing is the zoning text amendment.
So this secret, so are they changing this out of the secret? No, they're just saying that it's just a secret, that they're just doing, we're just saying that it's a type one action.
Right, so right now, you, as part of your packet, you have the environmental assessment for part one. So it provides you some additional baseline information on the environment. Then the next step would be for the town boards to identify anything in particular they would want studied in addition to what is already been studied, which is the traffic and parking.
Right, that's the only thing that's changing.
Theoretically, that's right, that's correct, that's right.
And if they did present a site plan, that was.
They would have to do secret.
Well, to be clear, if in the future, the applicant proposes site plan on something that's already included in the zoning, that's been adopted as part of this application, everything would come to the planning board. The town board wouldn't be involved at all. The only reason why the town board is involved now is because of the proposed amendments. So if they do come back in the future with proposals that create any modifications that require site plan review, the planning board should be doing secret on that as well.
zoning text, right, no, the zoning text amendment, do you have, does this board have any recommendations? Town board, I have the concern with the senior living facility. Being very open in terms of how it's being defined. Yes.
This big special requirement in this purpose.
I'm definitely concerned about it. I don't know. It's a private. It's, yeah.
So it goes them down. I mean, decision out.
If you back to it, they can come back with that design in the future of the community. This is successful. But as soon as we include that in, it's in there.
You can make that recommendation to town board.
They're gonna do
Words up.
Can we just express his concern?
Of course.
Yeah, it's in my, yeah. And I don't think that's been lost on the town board.
Okay, sorry.
Otherwise, I'm all in. So I don't want to be the downer here, but we appreciate the chance to do that.
Totally, I really like when you guys are adapting. Is there any consideration if you bid it out, change the conditions? Solar, other type of, in fact, just leave them, shall do it inside of this business. And that's fine too, but like, you have an opportunity here to do some.
Yeah. I think it would depend on the nature. Right now, there's no building. Right? So, but, you know, I guess it's hard to say because it depends on how significant the interior alteration it was. But I will say that GE, the facility right now, because it's GE, has like every energy efficient, top of the line thing you can imagine, like all the lights automatically shut off, everything with occupancy sensors, all the HVACs and occupancy sensors. I mean, it's very fine.
So the business is also local and seven right now, by 2025, plus of 2 consumption. Okay, so most of the city will be back. Right, by next year, otherwise sometimes we possibly like it will be that's going to be so back.
Listen, what?
Well, we have a lot of roofs. We have a lot of.
Find it.
So let's talk about, okay, so then, so are we any other comments on the zoning text? Yeah, we're done with Steve. So done with zoning text. Zoning text, do you have any other comments? I think seeker, everyone agreed that town board can do.
Yes, and I think we have, and there is a considerable amount of overlap between the issues that come up as part of secret and what's being raised as it relates to the zone text. So that can all be conveyed to the town.
I apologize, I'm just literally, meeting somewhere where I have no communication. For 2 weeks. So, it must have been. I actually couldn't remember how it's on. That's really, really good. But in any case, where is there an exact zoning text amendment in front of us?
There is as part of your petition.
Okay, where is that?
So.
I'll bring it over to you.
That little fun out of that.
Oh,
I don't know. Just email.
Was that what you?
9A was not a good moment.
Yeah,
Okay.
I first
I took that
emailed
out. My fault.
Have you worked with them for other properties that?
No.
we can copy and move it going well. This is
Ask me to get a color.
The red lines, yeah. No, if you, what we can also do is you can take a look at it tomorrow or Friday and like email me about it. Yeah,
okay, perfect.
but if you want to have it.
This was in printing. I didn't.
Yeah, I had it, I looked at it, I forgot. Yes.
Yeah, I can print one. I mean, I resend it to you, but I'll print one out if you want. You just resend it to me. Because it was probably. Yeah, it was probably before I sent the meeting stuff out. So a couple of weeks, like right after the town.
So it's good,
like,
so right, there are others that are closer to the residential area, I've been weddings, they're fun. That one's a nice one, we got, I don't want it, it's a little more central.
So do you want to take a look at the zoning and then you'll provide.
Yeah, but I'm interested in what everyone else has to say.
We have the comments for everybody else, which is the other. Senior.
The senior concept for senior living and for assisted living. Pretty much senior living will cover our whole multitude of uses that are.
Becomes.
And then addressing some of the special requirements and expanding upon our firefighting to its extent feasible. The catch-all on the accessories.
No, I mean, I get why it's there.
So then if that's the case. Right, so the site plan now will be ultimately what they're proposing. For like, short term, you know what I mean? This is what they're planning to do. Right, so then that deals with the plans you see along with the use. Right. So.
And so what you have on your packet, so this memo. All right, existing proposed uses is the title of the memo, about 2 or 3 pages of narrative. Followed by a chart. We really tried to simplify because it's best be good. So the narrative, obviously feel free to read it, I can read it. If you look at the chart, that might be best. You know, I don't really need to go line by line, but we certainly can. But so the column A, each building on the site plan, so each building on the site plan is needed with the letter, it's not identified on the plan. The building name, the square footage of each building, and I think the last 2 columns are really reported the existing use. And the proposed use. And you see, right, the proposed use, the parentheses, for which site plan approval was sought. So we compare the proposed use to the existing use, you see that frankly, in many of these buildings, it's essentially the same.
So the one item that I raised in my memo, is that the table specifically says up to 300 questions. And so I just questioned whether that was part of the current site plan proposal. And if not, we should remove it into it. So to identify where these units would actually be located.
Right, and so for that, we don't know exactly where they would be located, so the idea would be site plan movement to the enrichment grid and the site plan movement saw it, and we work on architects or we work with.
Right, so that's one thing I would raise. way, I would think that if they're gonna want 300 new real estate units, if it's gonna be in the interior of those buildings, to be identified with this new building. Then that's just my,
Clarify where.
yes.
Talking about that.
Yeah, because I'm looking for H, I don't see H in the site that I'm sure it's there, but I'm seeing it. Stress.
So hotel would have some definition of hotel inclusions. Which is it's not a separate restaurant.
I mean, going to,
But
on the map, you have an M, and on the chart, you don't, on the chart, you have an H, and on the map, you don't.
Hatch.
I'm not quite sure if that's the cafe or not, but. Why do I the circle there?
So I remember that.
That makes sense, M is probably H.
That's
Did you
the
see the
cafe.
screen from the H? From the south end circle, yeah. This is-
That's the coffee shop. Yeah, it'll.
Also, the M is.
It says M on ours.
No, it's.
You know what, I think it's on all the. I think on the site plan, that we're going to look at that issue.
That's right.
The other comments I had was the accessory uses again. I think you said you're gonna address it with the existing law because that's based on law.
So we're gonna do now to address your comment, we're gonna talk about this at the next meeting, is to add 2 columns to that chart. Current accessory uses proposed. And find that, I think you're gonna find that existing, currently exists, spa wellness is the only one that doesn't, so you may will find 1 or 2 buildings where we put spa wellness.
And just to clarify the food situation, said the definition of hotel includes eating spaces, wood. Each of the hotels here, the village and the Kroger Hall also have restaurants.
They, yeah, they both currently have food service areas,
Right.
that can be used. That are used for events, it's also used as sort of like breakfast or guests, things like that. And then there's multiple places where they have like, they'll have like 2,500 feet of like, hot tables and stuff.
Right.
Bring out. But like, as far as standalone, like, independent restaurants, there's not right now, other than probably the that makes that right now. And there essentially 1 or 2 other properties, smaller buildings in the back that we use for that. We haven't been exactly which one does the best, so we decided to kind of leave that for a later application for you guys, when we know exactly what the table is and how it plays out. But it would come back. Have probably second benefit. Higher rents.
Okay. We try to really going to operate when it's contract set, it's having. So, what would you say? Well, they're all operating, it's not, they're saying they're operating. If, having, right, but having the larger, like food service areas, as you put it, makes sense, but if you're going to operated as a hotel where you're expecting, you know, not necessarily people who are attending the conference, but you know, if you want for restaurant, real restaurants, right?
Right. Yeah, so changing the character of that, you know, and also figuring out exactly where. That's something that.
And one of these buildings is now not labeled for restaurant, we have to do that to give more.
Yeah. Where you guys are going, I understand that. This is a, you know, a finalized business plan.
Right.
But I'm just trying to figure out where, you know, where you're going.
So I don't ever recall having like to make decisions for this, so ambiguous, so is there a reason that somebody would propose something that they're not really sure what they're proposing?
So again, we're trying to remove all community and site plan components, so.
Well, no, but you're not sure what you're doing.
We're sure now, so we're just getting a lot
What
of.
you're doing right now, this is what they would do, but they're finalized business.
We're committing to the last column on your chart, nothing more right now. Everything else that we're talking about is hypothetical, so the chair asked, so what we may come back with sometime in the future, so it's just, we're trying to look with crystal ball. But we are proposing absolute concrete set of uses that we're working with.
The one, that's the one issue, that's why I raised.
The 300, like.
Right, because it's not that, and I think that's what we, that's something that,
So let's talk that.
okay.
I apologize, but it seems to be a mix of it. I can't tell the information company, we're using, we're next meeting, we'll be seeing everything together, make sure we all have the latest.
So now we're talking about site plan. Right. So on that issue, but the site plan always. And I'm sure they're probably going to update some of the lights. Is that just part of your site plan?
It's not, no.
That's the So it'd be great if there was an opportunity, if there was an opportunity to do some landscaping, it could be temporary or it's not invasive plants, it's native plants, it's, you know, it's something to think about going forward. And then we have on our planning board website, there's some exit. What is it called? Maintenance,
We do have standards.
we have standards. That's what we have standards. That are excellent. So those are the recommend. Incorporate.
Steps. Those will provide you information.
I could ask the board to go to it's not, it's the contribution that starts now, it's really notice out and start that process. This is, I think that's. All right. The process is and run some of the things. You
wouldn't be able to close the public hearing. So the applicant would be committing basically to multiple public hearings, but you may end up having that very well anyway. So.
The only thing is, you know, there's still. What? Site plan.
It would be nice if when the public looks at it, for the comment, it's like the comments exactly, but I'm not opposed to it being expected to.
So, yeah, we're looking for some results in August, but that's a potential next step.
A lot of it, sometimes.
I guess the only thing I would say is, if you don't call for a public hearing, then, but are you still going to, are you still gonna have the meeting in August? You'll still have the applicant come back in order to show, to make their revised presentation.
Yeah.
And so. So I guess it's really just a matter of whether you want public input.
People don't show up in August and things, but I'd rather the
Yeah.
public have time access sooner rather than later.
But without the zoning.
We'll have to see, we'll also have to see where the town board is, because they have 2 meetings before your next meeting. So I don't know that it's, that they'll have the zoning in place, but that's a risk the applicants take, right? If they don't get their zone text amendment, then the board just doesn't, your board just doesn't move forward with the application. Precisely, unless they're willing to do it under the existing zoning. So it would basically be the applicant's risk if they want to.
But they can still. This is, I think right now. Town board. So they go, so it's not going to be stopped.
Yeah, I mean, I just know that the town board has to. So. You would open a public hearing, but you would certainly not close a public hearing.
I get that we would close it, but the thing is would be confusing the public. If we don't have the zoning amendment in place. So what are they commenting?
Before this board, it would be the site plan. I mean, frankly, it's a confusing subject, you know, I mean, we've all had a lot of trouble
Right.
wrapping our heads around this.
We're offering commentary for the county, but as far as the zone is concerned.
Yes.
When we're referring now to the site, plan, which I think we go think about.
There's a separate, town board meetings, there's a separate public hearing. So.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Well, the thing is, if the public is commenting on a site plan that then can't be the site plan because the town board decides not to do something, or change something, then you get the benefit of public input with the site plan.
There's more going on.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Site would be one thing, but. It's almost something to call it a site plan. Right. So
Yeah, I know.
I will defer to our chair and our esteemed town attorney.
I'm going to make. I want to make a motion. Sure. With the public hearing, okay.
And you're obviously.
I'll second.
Yes.
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 Thank you.
So
Great first meeting.
I am.
Appreciate all the feedback.
I just bring this up.
Yes.
It's going back to the code change. So it says special requirements, all permitted uses and accessory equipment, blah, 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 shall be confined within the enclosed buildings. And then they're adding, and their associated patios and other outdoor spaces. Which means they're not gonna be confined completely within buildings, it's like.
We got a cocktail hour outside, so then that goes.
I mean, I don't understand why they say that completely enclosed buildings and their associated.
So it's not that you're necessarily uncomfortable with the reference outdoors, you're just saying you're concerned. with
Well, I
the
am a little concerned that I can see the patios, but the other outdoor spaces could be the entire property. So that, I think that just needs more definition. But, I mean, because this is now gonna relate to anybody else that comes. This is the code that's changing. Right?
Keep in mind, it's the.
But it's the only BE district.
Got that. Right, right.
So it doesn't really.
Yeah, it does. I mean, the other outdoor spaces.
It's the only being district.
But how about if it's right by somebody's house? It's like, it says it's all permitted uses and accessory equipment, materials and activities.
So I was looking at the site plan, right, the residential uses are buffered with the parking lot. And we were talking, I don't know if it's about it before, that the wedding type stuff would probably be in the biggest building, so I'm actually kind of comfortable with where those activities might be on the site.
So
given-
that's might be, so I think they should say
Well-
other outdoor spaces excluding the buffer zones, which I think there needs to be a little bit more definition. So it could say other outdoor spaces excluding whatever else the is between the residential, the other, residential, the other zone areas, I guess is what we would say, because this is one zone. I think there was some other place that said 100. Residential or something. So I think that would be a concern.
Or.
Right. So not just open-ended outdoor spaces.
Personal uses, personal services,
Yeah, and that's, I think that's originally part of the original code. I believe it's that, like, not the fact that,
It's not a restaurant.
no. Exactly. I believe.
It's like this one, the right sort of personal service now.
I think the intent there is that it would be associated with the shop, shop,
Yeah.
shop. This one also was. Outdoor recreation facilities. Yeah, I just think of that line. So on F, accessory uses also adds, used to say recreation facilities and it didn't qualify it, it didn't say indoor or outdoor. And now it's saying it's qualifying and saying indoor outdoor recreation facilities. F, accessory uses. So I would just say it's not good that they should just get that clarity on that.
First paragraph says.
When they combine them properly, it's that new thing, everybody. It's making people mad, like it's, mad.
Yeah,
The sound is the balls, it's like, it's a different.
It's very different.
So we'll have to come back. Establish like.
I know, well, not necessarily, it's on.
Take a look if anyone has anything else, we can get them to us maybe by like noon on Friday, so that maybe by the end of the day, Monday, we can try to circulate some things.
Very good. Thank you.
We have meeting is,
We have April, yeah, April. So I think that on our slides.
good night. Thank you very much. Thank you. Take care. Make a motion to the meeting minutes for April 17th.
Okay. John, Mack, how do you vote?
Yes.
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 Yes. Then we adopted.
Oh, just in time to go out.
Yeah.
How bad is it? Oh, keys are coming down.
Sure.
I'll make a motion to adjourn. Our meeting, July 17th, 2024. Donna, stay up. Yes.
Thank you for the direction. And I, yes, around.
This is the reminder.